part of being a mother. Throughout motherhood, you go and you become a victim with time because you're so used to not paying attention to yourself.
Mm.
And you don't notice your internal dialogue, and you're not setting boundaries for yourself. You're used to setting boundaries for your son or your daughter, if it's discipline or if it's the way you want them to act in a certain way. But we neglect ourselves.
Welcome to The Ownership Game with Gary Montalvo. What would it take to get into the driver's seat of your life and leave your mark? The Ownership Game starts now.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I am so excited to be back after our September hiatus. I have missed you terribly, and I hope that you have missed me. And if you didn't, just lie to me so that I don't feel bad about myself. So to kick things off, I thought that we would take a dive into a particular area of life that I know nothing about, and that is motherhood. Why? This is a particularly challenging time for moms. Homes all across the country are turned upside down as kids adjust to leaving their carefree and unstructured days of summer for the more rigorous schedules of school, sports, and after-school activities. This is challenging. This is a challenging time of the year for families, especially our unsung heroes. And not to mention the holidays are just around the corner, which is crazy. I also think it's important to acknowledge that there's a great deal of societal pressure to become a mom. And then there's even more pressure to become the perfect mom. Motherhood is more than just a role. In many ways, it becomes a status, an identity. But the question today is, can you lose yourself in motherhood? Can you become so focused on your kids, running the house, taking care of the family, career, aging parents, that you don't know who you are anymore? This is a conversation that I had this week with mother, entrepreneur, and life coach Sharon Banyas Hefetz. She specializes in working with busy mothers who may have gotten lost in the chaos of motherhood. And fellas, you may think this episode is not for you, but if you have a mom somewhere in your life, you need to hear this just as much. As you will quickly learn, it can literally be a life or death situation. So, Sharon, I'm so glad you're on the show. It's always fun to have other mindset coaches on the show that we can kind of banter with and compare notes. So I'm really glad that you're here. So we
Excited
can
and happy to be here. Thank you.
Good, good, good. So why don't we get some background story? Let's tell the people who you are and where you're from and all the good things.
So, my name is Sharon Banyas Hefetz, and I'm a mindset coach. I work with mamas. Um, I help mamas kind of reconnect and rediscover their authentic self after losing it when becoming a mother. And through that journey, we see a lot of people. It's not just mamas. It's a lot of people that are nurturing and nurturing and nurturing. I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So a lot of people also nurture their business so much as if it was their baby,
Yeah.
and kind of get lost within it. And after a few years, kind of don't know who they are anymore, what music they like, what colors they like, what is their preference. They're so inside the game or inside the that routine.
Yeah.
So I work with mamas for the past decade. Before that, I was an entrepreneur, and I also am an author. I have a book and a journal as well. Um, that complements the course that I do, the Happy and Balanced Mom.
Mm.
And la sorry.
And how did you become passionate about working with mamas? I'm gonna assume you're a mama yourself.
So yeah, I'm a mom of three.
Okay.
I got three of them. And I was a mompreneur as well. So I was
Mm.
working 7 days a week, morning to night. In between, I had my first one and I had my second one, and it was best thing that ever happened to me on one hand, and on the other
Yeah.
hand, I had no idea what was going on with me. So I kind of lost myself in the way. Um, and that point of not knowing who I am anymore made me find a way to rediscover and go through different steps of reconnecting to myself and knowing what I want. And it's, you know, part of being a mother with throughout motherhood, you go and you become a victim with time because you're so used to not paying attention to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't notice your internal dialogue and you're not setting boundaries for yourself. You know, you're used to setting boundaries for your son or your daughter, if it's discipline or if it's the way you want them to act in a certain way, but we neglect ourselves. And learning to show up for myself again and learning to understand my desires, what I need, setting personal goals, really changed a lot and really helped. And it was wonderful because I was able to help mamas go through that as well. And last year in August kind of shifted my whole business journey. I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, high
Mm.
risk multiple myeloma. It was occupying 95% of my bone marrow. So out of the
Wow.
blue, yeah.
That's a
So out
wake
of the
up
blue,
call.
from I'm having a little back aches and shoulder pains and things like that, which I thought were just normal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was high risk multiple myeloma. After 3 weeks, they caught it like at the last moment that it got to my bones and that it got,
Wow.
you know, it would have taken over my body. And I feel honestly, more than I was devastated, knowing that it was so far along, I felt so blessed that they found it because realizing the week after that it was like, it moved, the marker was supposed to be between 7 to 11. When they discovered it, it was on 933. And a week later, it was on 1300. It was like I had
So
a
it was
week,
moving
2 weeks
fast.
really, really, really fast. And
Wow.
it was at the end of the game. So
Okay.
I
Ooh,
shifted
okay.
and yeah,
I
sorry.
wanna I wanna unpack that, but for the sake of storytelling, let's go back to you said that you lost yourself and that you were in this you just got lost in motherhood and the business and all that. Like how was that showing up? Like what was happening in your life that this experience was taking hold? Like does that make sense?
I was overwhelmed and stressed.
Mm-hmm.
It was like running a marathon without a finish line. That's what I felt. I felt that I just didn't know where to pull energy from. I didn't know where, and as a person who is normally positive and optimistic and motivated, and in my entrepreneurial journey, I motivated and helped people um, reach their goals and their
Mm-hmm.
destinies. And suddenly, when I looked at myself, I was like, what is your goal? What
Yeah.
is your destiny? And all I saw was everyone else's goals that I was working for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was wonderful because it helped me as well. But at a certain point, I just didn't know. I had a little bit of blood in my caffeine system. I had to visit a cardiologist for that one. My heart was skipping beats from the amount of coffee that I was intaking.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had a lot of stress. I was working from morning to night trying to be the best mom, the best boss, the best friend. I can listen to a wife. I could do everything.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't, but I thought I could. And it just wore me down and it started taking its toll on everything. You can't you can't even reach your physical goals when you don't know
Yeah.
what your goals are, because there's so much lack of decision regarding yourself that the goal was not even relevant.
Yeah. And did you know what was wrong, or like did you articulate it at that point, or was it just like, something's wrong, like you know what I mean, like?
It was a lot of, what do I
Yeah, yeah.
do? A lot of that. And a, because I was pregnant with my third child,
Mm.
there was a lot of hormonal imbalance as well. But I realized through my children, the mirrors, like they gave me those mirrors. Like my daughter was like, Mom, you never come with us to the pool and have fun. You just sit
Mm.
there. And I was like, I don't dare to try. And that was like a topic. It became a topic in my book. It became something I wrote about so much because I'm a person that reflects a lot, and more on the philosophical side. But I was like, wow, I don't. And it became understanding the need to dare to try again. Because when you go older, I'll get dirty, no, I'll get wet, and then I have to do my hair, and then I have to do this, and then
Yeah.
I have to do this. No, 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 no. But you give up on so many experiences and on so many things. So it kind of started with the little mirrors that I got from my children.
Mm-hmm.
If it was doing things, um, well, daring to do things. If it was me telling them, explaining to them that they didn't fail and it's just a trial. What do you mean? You didn't fall in you're just trying again and you're trying again. And I was like, oh, why didn't I say that to myself? And I was like, okay, great. Another topic. And I would write for hours and hours and hours. And basically that's how I kind of figured out the points that I need to pay attention to. And then realizing the stress that motherhood, like the guilt that I carry with myself, and the imbalance, and the judgment, the criticism, it's unbelievable. And of course, there's so many people in the world, especially people who have a lot on their plate. Doesn't matter what's on that plate. But if you're a busy person, there's a lot of judgment going on probably too.
Yeah.
And and a lot
Yeah.
of guilt
But
a lot of times.
but I think it's fair to say that mothers have a different cut of it, right? Because you have all that stuff that everybody has in humanities, but then you also have everybody else's stuff, right? Like mothers are the
Right.
holders of that stuff for the family, right? So you're not. I always say this, like I feel like being a mother now, it's so ridiculously unfair and challenging because, like, when I was growing up, a birthday party looked very different than what a birthday party now looks like for a kid. Like, you can't just put up streamers anymore and go to the dollar store and buy like a little hat. And they're like, no, the table has to be Instagram worthy, and you have to have a
Exactly.
balloon arch and entertainment. And I'm just like, okay, I'm so glad that my child was somewhere like, listen, you're gonna get a cake from Carvel, and that's what we're doing.
And think about it. Back then, sorry, I don't know your age, but I'm kind of guessing that we're around the same
We're
decade.
the same age, yeah. I'm 47.
So, yeah. So I'm saying, like, when we wanted something that cost a lot of money, even if it was a jeans that like a brand label, you kind of had to anticipate and wait, and you had this build up, and today it's like they have it already. So like
Yeah.
even for a birthday gift, you have to like brainstorm on this, like, wow, what am I gonna do this year? And what's gonna happen this year? Like there's no end.
You just reminded me. I don't know if you ever had this experience, but we used to have layaway where you would
Yes.
actually go to so kids, listen up, okay? When you wanted a pair of jeans or something that you couldn't like afford, you would go to the store and you would put it on layaway, and the store would take it off the shelf and put it in a bag and like put it on a shelf, and you would go every week and make a payment on that. You would pay like $10 or whatever it
Right?
was until you
Right,
paid
right,
it
right.
off and you could take it home.
That's so
You
oh,
guys don't
awesome.
even know how good you have it now.
No, they don't. They don't. They don't. It's so funny.
Oh,
Everything
sounds.
is so instant
Yeah,
gratification today.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's even like Amazon made it even worse,
Oh my God.
worse, I'm
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah.
But like, you put it in the phone after 4 hours, it's there. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah, yeah,
waiting,
yeah.
there's no anticipating, there's no anything.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
sounds like you started to kind of pull yourself out of this hole just kind of by yourself with introspection and really starting to engage with the clues and the lessons that were popping up in your life,
right,
right? Is that
right.
accurate?
Yes, and honestly, the one gift that I could say that I have without shame or anything is the fact that I know how to zoom out. So
Mm,
it's very easy for me when there is a situation to kind of zoom out and see all the sides or understand what's going on from a bigger perspective. So then when I zoom back in, it's easier for me to, oh, this is going to sound so bad, disconnect from that feeling because you're supposed to feel the feeling, but disconnect for a moment
no,
from the feeling so I can go back up and kind of see what I need to
but
do.
I don't think that sounds bad. That's actually, I think, a really important skill set. Not like avoiding the feeling, but you do need to take out the emotion and analyze and look at the situation. Like I think that's a really great skill set, right? To
Right.
that you're able to do that, because sometimes we're so deep in the emotion that you can't see the forest from the trees because you're just in the feelings, right? So I love
Exactly.
that.
You're right
Yeah.
in there and you can't even see what's going on. Exactly. 100%. But I could tell you also that even though that disconnecting part is you're saying it's good, I can tell you with the cancer diagnosis that I just realized my journey and the journey that I walk with women is I thought it was complete and so wonderful and so, but the missing piece that I discovered through my cancer journey was self-compassion and self-love. And that's something that zoom out part of me
Mm-hmm.
really works well. So it knows how to zoom out of the feeling too. And you know what I mean? And
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that is not self-love. And that is
Yeah.
not self-compassion. And I needed to learn that. I needed to learn that me saying, ah, everyone has, so many people have cancer today is not self-love. I didn't know
Mm.
that.
Yeah. You
You
were
know what I
just
mean?
kind of
I
like,
needed
yeah.
to
Yeah.
re-understand that disconnecting from what I feel, that's great. That took me into healing and that got me into remission. But now to stay there, I need to really be nice. I need
Yeah.
to really work on my internal dialogue, which I've been teaching for years. And that's the thing that you preach something for years, suddenly you're even more aware of how much lack in you there is of that thing.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's
Like,
that. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's just the sign of a really good coach. When you are able to put yourself at the in the student seat whenever you need to, right? Like there's no place that you arrived. There's no certification that tells you, okay, I'm done learning or I'm done. Like, no, we're at
we're
work. And
never, yeah,
yeah, and that's what makes it so that we can continue to teach people and continue to empower others, because those are lessons that we have those experiences, and then we can learn from them and then continue to share them with others. So I think
right.
it's
Kind
just
of reboot,
it's
reboot,
reboot.
re-energize, and continue on to a new path.
Yeah.
And basically it's discovering the how to stop feeling, not how to stop losing your sh, your poop. It's how to stop feeling like you're losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. That's where mindset, I feel, comes in.
Okay, let's
It's
break that down.
okay. So situations are going to happen all the time, right? Blessings, or some people will call them curses. I'll stay with the blessings, even if they're bad blessings, hard blessings. Let's call them, not bad blessings, but hard
Yeah.
blessings. And we're always going to, circumstances are always going to be there. The question is, where do you get your strength from? And that's where you learn that it should be from your inside and not from outside.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you pull that strength from? Where do you pull that balance from? Where do you allow yourself to recollaborate and kind of move forward? And I feel like a situation happens, no matter what it is, it's a situation, right? It's
It's
exactly like
neutral.
it's neutral. Exactly like when
Yeah.
you go on a video game, right? When you have like um a harder task to do, sometimes it's much cooler, right? Sometimes it has like more fires coming out and things popping up, but if you just saw that situation that you found yourself in the video game I'm talking, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I just saw that. Oh, that's funny. That thing comes down. Great. I'll duck down next time." And then you go again. And then when that thing comes, you duck down and you keep
Yeah.
walking and and then you go again and then you go again and then you go again until you get that tool, until you conquer the level, right? You get that tool and you put it in your bag. Same thing with our life. When we understand that failure is not failure, it's just another trial, and that situations are going to come, and hard situations are going to come all the time. All the
Yeah.
time. Because hard for me is not hard for you, is not hard for someone else. Everyone has their own kind of hard and their own kind of situations that come, right? That take you out of your comfort zone, that make you feel less comfortable, that make you feel like you're not thriving at the moment, or that you need to deal with something. So um when that situation comes, the moment you can stop and kind of say, okay, situation, no name to it, situation, what do I need in order to conquer it? What do I need in order to get over it? For me, my first thing when I got diagnosed with cancer was like, Joe Dispenza. Go into Joe Dispenza's world. I'm going to meditate the heck out of this, and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
heal my brain and my mindset, and I'm going to and I made sure that I continuously had that brainwash in the background in order to keep me balanced. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, great. This is what happened. I had my moment of crying, and then I sat down and I was like, okay, I need water. I need sound healing. I need energy healing. I'm going to do the treatments anyway. But I know that I can control my thoughts. I know that, like, I took everything, all those tools that I got from all those other challenges, and kind of, okay, what do I know? What do I know? And I can show you. I don't have that notebook right here. Darn it. But I could have showed you, like, I had pages of all the things I've ever thought I need to do if, God forbid, I would have cancer, and what I think I would do.
Mm-hmm.
When someone else goes through something, you're really smart and you're like, huh, if I
Of
went through
course.
that, I would, right? So I kind of made a list of all those things as well. And I was like, okay, put your money where my mouth is right now
Yeah.
and do that.
Yeah. So you know, you're pointing to something really valuable because I feel like humans, we get caught up in playing the game of trying to control the circumstances, right? Trying to control the stuff that happens, trying to control the cancers, the things that pop up, the but the reality is you can't, right? You can't really control that stuff. Like life is gonna life. And what you're really pointing to is not controlling the stuff, but controlling your interpretation of the stuff, controlling how you choose to experience this stuff, controlling how you choose to respond to the stuff, right? That's really where the power of mindset comes in, because
Right.
you can have the same, situation happen, but a different mindset would give you a completely different access to how to interact with that
Right.
situation. So it's really you're pointing to something really valuable that when that I think is really the key to mastering life, because when you have that ability to transform the context of a situation, when you have the ability to transform the interpretation, the experience, how you look at it, then you really can walk about life ready to handle anything that comes up, right? And so for you, that thing was called cancer, and you brought all of that and go, okay, got it. And you had your humanity, right? Like you had your moment where like, okay, you cry, you do what you got to do, but then you bring all of that to the situation, and and by doing that you start to access possibilities that were not
Right.
there a few minutes ago. You start to access new actions that you can take, new strategies that you can implement, right?
Right.
And then
Because
that
you're
starts
actually
to
breathing,
unravel.
right?
Go ahead,
Because
say
you're
that again.
breathing, because you're
Yeah,
allowing yourself to breathe, because you're allowing yourself to take a moment to choose. You're not being controlled by the situation. You're learning how to allow yourself to control the situation. Like you're not putting out that fire. You're looking at it and planning to see what do I need to do to put it out.
yeah,
And I think it all, like all those things that you said right now of like really, it comes down to knowing that you have a choice. You're not stuck in any situation. You may feel like you're stuck in it,
yeah,
but our mind and our thoughts control most. I want to say all, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not a scientist. So
it's
I'm going
pretty
to
close.
say, so basically everything that, and a lot of people thinks it sounds like abstract, like a theory when you say your thoughts control your reality or create your reality, but it's not, because when we have a thought and we repeat it and we repeat it and we repeat it, it becomes a habit. And then when we repeat that habit over and over and over, do it again and again, it becomes a belief. And after it
Yeah,
becomes a belief, right, it affects your actions and it affects your behaviors and it affects your choices and it affects your decisions.
yeah,
So all that after that, it affects your experiences, which means so our
yeah, yeah,
thoughts
yeah,
actually affect our experiences and what we're going through.
yeah.
So
Like
once we
if you are
learn,
saying, sorry, if you're saying you're stuck, that is going to impact the actions that you take. You're going to take the actions of a stuck person, which are
right?
very likely going to be not a lot of actions because you're stuck. My favorite thing to do when people say that, go, where? Show me the stuck. Where is it? What
I love that.
where? Like go
I
ahead.
love
Where,
that.
they're like, it's like where you're not stuck. You just it's an experience that you're having. It's a belief that you're stuck in right now, but you're not really stuck. You can move. Your arms are free, your legs are free, you can move about, like,
And
and
our mind
even
is
that
free.
is like, what was that?
And our mind is free.
And our mind is free. And our mind is free. But if you are that you're stuck, or if you are that this is hard, or if you are that I can't do this, or if you are that I'm gonna fail, then you are gonna take the actions that are consistent with those beliefs. You're gonna take the you're gonna have the experiences that are consistent with those beliefs. So this is it's a little abstract because it does require you to, as you would say, zoom out of yourself and kind of watch yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But when you get this, it really is the keys to the kingdom, you know, because when you have that kind of awareness, it's like a light bulb goes on and you just like
Right.
have power in any situation.
Right.
You
And you
really, yeah.
understand that you can shift it because you have the power of the
Yeah.
choice of it.
Yeah.
But before,
Yeah.
in order to kind of make that abstract, that theory into more reality for the listeners, I always give that example of like your morning, the way you start your morning. So if you started your morning and it just so many people resonate with, that's why I keep saying this specific example. But like, you wake up in the morning, if you push the snooze button, you told yourself you'll wake up at 6 and you push the snooze button, put the snooze on, woke up at the last minute, got ready, rushed through it, hit your leg, put on something quickly, didn't really arrange yourself, went to make coffee, spilled the coffee grinds on the way out, blah, 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 blah. But you know how that kind of morning goes. And if you're a mom, like I could add on, you're trying to get your kids in the car and then they're like, okay, I got it. But, but I'm saying, like, if
Yeah.
that's how your morning goes, when you go out and you get stuck in traffic, that person that's going to cut you off, you're going to have so many foul things to say to him. And if you started your morning, I heard one of your episodes when someone was reading The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I love that book. That book changed so much for me years ago. And but when you start your morning early and you wake up like you intended to, and you wash your face and freshened up, and you did your meditation and you stretched, or you worked out even better, or you did your journaling, or whatever it is in your routine. And for me, it's after all that, it's going and getting a glass of water, because that was one thing that I know was always on my to-do list. And sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. So with my diagnosis, everything from my, yeah, one day I'll do, I had to do. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something I do now for the past 10 months. It's like I would drink my glass of water before my coffee. I go, I refresh myself, I do it. But when I make my coffee, I set my intentions and I spell my coffee. Um, One of my coaching courses was spells and tinctures. And the idea is just how to spell your coffee with the intention. And while you're drinking it, kind of like feeling that intention becoming
Yeah.
infused in you. So you're set off for the day. So that's basically thoughts becoming your reality, because when you started your morning that way and you're going out to the street and that same person cuts you off, you're going to be like, gosh, man, I hope everything's okay. Just get to your place well and don't crash. Right?
Yeah.
Like the thoughts will be different, the way you're experiencing it different, and your day will continue in a much better vibe. So it makes it a
Yeah.
little bit less abstract, I think.
Yeah. I've had
Like you're
experiences like
wearing, you
that,
put on the
and
glasses.
yes,
You
yes,
put
yes.
you put
So
on
I've had
the
experiences.
glasses of the
Oh,
day, right?
sorry.
Like the color, you
We
choose the
have
color.
we keep skipping each other. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay.
I'm sorry.
No, 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 it's totally fine. Um, when I've had experiences like this where you know, because you're so grounded in you know, you've done your morning rituals, you're really grounded in your intentions and your purpose, and you have experiences where somebody cuts you in traffic, cuts you off, or like does something, you know, and like my response is really like, well, I guess he really has to be somewhere. You know, I guess this guy's really, he needed to go first, right? Like he clearly needed to go ahead of me because he's in a hurry,
Right.
you know. But instead of like this mother,
Exactly.
you know,
But that's how
um,
you know when you're on balance and when you're not. That's a good way to check when you're off and when you're, a lot of times we don't even notice when we're off. But that is a perfect way to find out when you're off balance. When you see yourself like reacting to someone and taking it personal, something that has nothing to do, taking, like, once
Yeah.
you get upset and you start cursing him, you're taking it personally. You're
Yeah.
thinking in your head, just so your listeners listen. So if you're cursing someone on the way, you're basically telling yourself that morning, you're like, that morning, that person woke up and said, I will run into Sharon this morning and I will find her and get on the road with her and I will cut her off. And it will be right after she had the worst morning in the world. And I will just cut her off, and because that would be personal. So it's, yeah, exactly. And ha ha ha
Yeah.
ha.
I always tell people, I'm like, guys, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I can't wait to be an a-hole today. Like nobody does that, right? Like we all
Exactly.
start out with the best of intentions, but some of us are really grounded in in our intentions and what we're out, and some of us are in reaction, flying by the seat of our pants, trying to survive life.
Right.
And
And
what you're
fight and
really
flight.
talking about is really pulling yourself out of that automaticness, out of that cycle, out of that of just like surviving
The
life,
response.
and really putting yourself in a place of creating life and creating the experience that you want to have for life. So it's a really,
I
powerful
think,
lesson.
I think that was, I think in motherhood that you put it perfectly. When you're in motherhood, and especially when a few more join in, a few more kids join in, um, you're in survival state and you're in survival mode all the time. And and you need to be. And it's okay that you are, because you need to pay attention that this little thing that you created is going to survive, right? So you need to foresee anything that's going to happen that may fall, that may hit them, where they're going to fall, where they're going to crash, what anything that may harm them. But the problem is, we're so used to becoming in that fight or flight, and our body's not programmed to stay there. You think of a deer, something's chasing it, it runs, it's in a fight or flight mode. But once that lion or whatever it is stop chasing them, they continue grazing grass. We don't. We stay
Mm-hmm.
there. And as mothers, we don't even notice that that's the situation we're in, and we're working on empty. We're running on empty. And I think you like nailed it by saying that fight or flight mode. Same thing when you're upset. You need to know you're not balanced right now. You're in fight or flight. You're reacting. You're responding. And same thing when I'm just taking like the things that you said. When you encounter someone, you said no one wakes up in the morning wanting to be an a-hole. But I'll say it even more. No one wakes up in the morning wanting to be an a-hole to you
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And you know what I mean? And I think that's also something of like when you set your boundaries and you put yourself in that bubble of this is me and this is him. This has nothing to do with me. He had no intention of hurting me. He did, but he had no intention of doing it. I'm just gonna, poor thing, let's walk on
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and move on with your day.
So let's go back to your story a bit, because I want to just complete that and not leave people hanging. So after you started to have this awakening and you went to work at like noticing and putting, this picture together of what was happening to you, like how did you get out of it? Like what was it? Were you already working on a book? Because you said you were doing a lot of writing. Was your instinct already to, or were you just writing for your own healing process and your own
I was
processing?
writing for me. I was writing for
Okay.
me, for my sanity, and it became a book.
Yeah.
So that became
Got
If
it.
I May. That's one of my books. It's If I
Yeah.
May, and it's insights from my life journey to yours. And it's just kind of little things, epiphanies that I got from motherhood and all that brainstorm that went with it. But that was not your question. Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the so after you started to put all this together and have these insights and having your life and your children mirror these lessons for you, these so you were getting these like wake up calls about what was going on with you. How did you then put it all in action? Like how did you go
Gary,
to, what
I'm
happened
sorry.
that you went
I
to
didn't hear
like,
anything
yeah.
you just said.
Oh, did we freeze?
I
Let
didn't
me
hear
put
anything you
a
just said. Yeah.
Okay, let's try that again. Um, so
Okay.
after you went to work at reflecting and you started to discover these lessons, and you started to have your children mirror back to you these lessons that you needed to implement. Like what was next for you? What did that implementation look like, and how did you kind of take all that information and then transform your life with it?
So I could tell you that for me, anything that I'm told is harder, that I tell myself is harder for me. So I do things in baby steps, everything in
Mm.
baby steps. Even when I needed to lose weight after pregnancy, it took me a few years, but like a couple of years, but it was taking the baby steps to first noticing. And I think that's the biggest thing is realizing where you are. And that's towards everyone in anything. So you realize where you are, and then you need to pay attention. Like, how did I get sucked into it? Where did it come from? What are the things that I know? Like, what would I tell my daughter to do? What are the things we don't? Gary, I'm going to start again on this, okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We're going to cut
okay.
out this whole good part. Sorry. I kind of
Love it.
my brain. I wanted to be like precise, and I wanted to. Okay. Um. Okay. So the biggest thing that for me, after realizing, becoming aware, and by then I was already working with women. I was working with mamas. This was after the book came out. The reflections started. My reflections never stop. I always write, and I always, because I understand that when I write, I'm able to, when I'm not able to zoom out, that allows me to zoom out. So that's my zoom out when I can't do it. Anyway, so once I noticed where I was and I saw all the things that I have not been doing well, and because I am
Yeah.
my worst critic, my worst critic, I started learning the things that I needed to do, which was like being nicer to myself and having a nicer and empowering inner dialogue. It was creating the thoughts and the life that I want. So it was like, okay, great. You're not happy now, Sharon? Great. What do you want? What is it that you do want? What do you want? And I wrote down, and the biggest thing that I wanted was just ease and joy.
Yeah.
I just want to be happy, and I just want to like have things come with flow, because you know when you're in your zone, things just like work out and everything just comes perfectly. That's how I want my life. No matter what challenges, I don't want to block out any challenges. I don't want to block out any situations or any harms that are supposed to come my way, because this is my journey and this is my path and this is what I need to learn. I want to be able to construct things with ease. And I want to be able to find my happy within all that silver lining. And the way I do that is through baby steps. So, for example, if I want to, I started telling you before that when I wanted to lose weight after my second child, it took me a year. But at that year point, I was 70 pounds overweight. I first needed to look at things and read up things and brainwash myself on the biology of it, because that's how I work. And I needed to start stretching in the morning, and I needed to do calf raises in the bathtub to kind of make my mind understand that I'm going to start working out. And so I do
Mm-hmm.
like little increments of those big goals that I have.
Yeah.
I tear them down to the tiniest thing to get myself, my mind, accustomed to them. And then I take it another step. And then I get my mind accustomed to that step, and then I can leap. But I just kind of first have to get the idea set in my mind, and then I have to take a taste of it, try it, see how it's okay. Now I know where I
Yeah.
can put that in, or if I'm not going to put that in, or
That's a really smart strategy because essentially what you're doing is um you're it's like it doesn't activate the fight or flight because you're sort of desensitizing the brain to, okay, we're gonna go in this scary place, but I'm gonna give it to you little by little, so by the time we go there it won't be as scary. It's a really smart strategy because
thank
so
you.
often we feel like
I
we have
think
to go gun-ho all the way. Did I
exactly.
lose you?
Exactly. And once you
Oh.
realize it, the thoughts and everything, it's the same thing with our words. Because our words is basically thoughts that have a little bit more effect. So something that I can tell a lot of people, the biggest things that affect you today, no matter what you're going through, is the way you are translating it, the what you're choosing to put your focus on. For example, I'll break that down. If I have a doctor's appointment in a week, I can stress myself out till then, or I can just and say all those things that would have, could have, should have, may have happened and may happen. Once you understand that all those things are just made up, you understand that you can make up a new story and make up a different story. Any translation is our translation, is a made up story that our brain made up due to past experiences, things we went through, people we know, or an experience that was similar that, but even an experience that was similar doesn't mean that it's going to be the same. So paying attention to your thoughts, paying attention to your words. Your words have so much, you have to have so much intention, and I'm going to die. That has an effect on you.
Yeah.
And telling yourself when you're in a hard road saying, I got this, I can do this, that has an effect on you. So your thoughts, your words, your intentions, those are the biggest thing in my opinion, and the way we translate.
So as we wrap up, how's your health? How are you doing?
I am in remission, in complete remission.
Mm.
I reached the normal zone after 6 weeks, which they said was impossible for me. And I told
Wow.
them, was there someone that did it? And they said, yeah, there's like 2 to 3% that react. I was like, okay, I'm going to be there. And then, so in 6 weeks, I got back into the phase, into the area where I was supposed to. And after 4 months, I was in remission, considered in remission. And when they did the biopsy after 6 months, it was considered complete remission. So from 95%, I moved down to 0.0022%, which
Wow.
is yay, but it's not all the
Congrats.
way. I still have another biopsy to go through, and hopefully it's going to be, not hopefully, it's going to be on a complete zero
I love it. When is that coming up?
in August,
In
end of
August. Okay.
August. So that'll
So
be in
this
my
will be so
cancerversary.
the Cancerversary. So this will publish before that. So everybody listening, take a moment to send Sharon some real love and healing energy and light that
Thank you.
the 0.1% that's left in there gets out. Does not
Yes.
belong in there.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
So as we wrap up, I know that you have some goodies for the listeners, and if if you want to share any way that they can get in touch with you or work with you, I love to leave them with that information. I'm gonna put all of your links and ways to reach you in the show notes as well. So if you so don't feel like you have to spell anything out or be specific, we can put that information there. But I do want them to just hear from you in a few words.
Thank you. So they can go to SharonHefetzConsulting.com, and that's my website, and they can find all those things. But I'm also going to, you'll have my link tree, and it'll be in the notes, and there you can download. There's a Mompreneur's Guide to Balance and Happiness. That is about inner dialogue. So mompreneur, not mompreneur, it doesn't matter. You can download the inner dialogue ebook. There's also, you can find there an ebook on the victim mentality, letting go of the victim mentality. That's also a free ebook. You just download. And the nice thing is, whoever goes in and does download one of those ebooks, I will get note of that. And then you'll go into a raffle and you'll receive the thing that came today in the mail. My new
Yay.
journal. I created during my treatments, I needed to keep myself busy. I created something that was in my head for 5 years. So it's a mama journal. And you have in the beginning a self-assessment, and first of all, every month you have a little bit of a blog, and a continuation of that blog would be in my website. And you have different things, how to plan the month, the week, and for each day, it's undated. So you can pull it out, do it a month, put it back in, and then pull it out again. And each day you have different daily things that would have suggested mindfulness, suggested affirmation of the day, exhale the bullshit, inhale the good shit, daily check-in, make your peace, aha moments, and just a way to keep yourself on track, a way to keep yourself accountable. And so I will raffle one of those off, and whoever goes in there will raffle one, and I'll send it to you. I'll reach
Hot
out
off the presses.
and right, exactly. Just came out right now.
So fun. Awesome. Well, it's been lovely to have you on the show, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom and your insights. It's always fun to talk mindset with other coaches because it's like, oh, yeah, like this.
Yeah. I love it.
I wish you all the luck in the world in your journey and continued health to you and your family.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Take care. I think motherhood seems to come with a lot of guilt. Now, obviously, I'm not a mother, nor will I ever be one, so I'm probably not the best person to speak on the subject. But when I look at all the mothers in my life, I do feel I see a common thread of persistent guilt and judgment. I see it in my clients who are mothers. I even see it in my own mother. This constant feeling of questioning if they did enough, if they did it right, if they could have done more. There's even a lot of guilt and judgment around not becoming a mother. Epic human beings who are incredible parents and who are raising incredible children with a laundry list of how they didn't measure up at what is arguably the most difficult job on the planet. Is this something new, or has this always been part of motherhood? I don't know the answer to that, but I do think motherhood has also fallen victim to social media expectations, just like everything else these days. Back in my day, my birthday party consisted of blowing up some balloons and hanging up some crib paper streamers. Now you need balloon arches and bouncy houses and multiple cupcake towers in addition to the cake, all for that perfect Instagram shot. It does seem like the game has changed. There's more required and much more pressure to deliver it. So mommies, if you're hearing this, please give yourself a break and know that you are doing an amazing job. And if you take anything away from this episode, you gotta take care of yourself too. You have to take some time for yourself. You can't just continue to pour from an empty cup and expect that to work out. In the end, taking that time for you will only make you a stronger and a more confident woman who just happens to be a mother. Now, if you need some support in how to do that, I recommend checking out Sharon's new workbook, journal, and planner, Living a Happy and Balanced Mom Life. This thing is amazing, you guys. It is beautifully designed with daily journal prompts, self-care trackers, all to support you in developing the mindfulness, self-awareness, and self-care practices that you need to put yourself first. It's an incredibly thoughtful tool, and I think that you love it. I've never pitched anything on the show like this before, but I just absolutely love this, and I think that it's going to help many of you. So please be sure to check this out. You can also download her free guide to living a balanced and fulfilled life by visiting free.thehappybalancedmom.com. That's free.thehappybalancedmom.com. If you download the free guide this month, in the month of October, she's going to enter you in a raffle to win the new workbook journal. But don't wait for that. I would go get this thing right away. And when you win the raffle, just gift it to a mommy in your life, okay? You can get a copy of this in Amazon. I'll include the link for both of those things for the guide, for the free guide, and the book. I'll include in the show notes. Now, if you want to be entered to the raffle, when you do the download, make sure you enter the Ownership Game podcast in the podcast field, because she's only doing this for us. So she needs to know that you came from our crew, our family. Okay, that is all for the show this week. I'm so happy to be back. As always, if you've enjoyed the episode, please click follow or subscribe. And don't forget to share it with 2 or 3 people in your life that you think could really use this message. I will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Ownership Game with your host, Gary Montalvo. Make sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform, as well as subscribe so that you never miss an episode.